Have you ever walked down an empty street on a cold winter night, head bent against the wind, and suddenly noticed something left by the curb? A plastic bag that looks heavy, something dark red inside that could be meat. Most people might shrug and keep walking, but for those of us who follow strange crimes, a sight like that can be the beginning of a nightmare. And in real life, that nightmare came true. The plastic bag filled with what looked like meat, found on a January morning in 1996, opened up one of the most shocking, brutal, and baffling murder cases in modern Chinese criminal history. A case that plunged Nanjing into fear and made people wary whenever they saw pieces of meat for sale. Welcome back to the Asian Criminal Case channel. In this three-part series, we'll go through the cold records of the Diao Aiqing case, also known as the 2,000 Pieces case. In part 1, we will follow the cleaner who found the first fragments, see how police pieced together a crime from more than 2,000 fragments, learn about the victim, a young female student whose life ended tragically. Before we begin, please hit like, subscribe to Asian Criminal Case, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any detail of this shocking case. Now, let's go back to Nanjing on that fateful day. January 19th, 1996. Nanjing was in the grip of one of its harshest winters. The damp cold of the south seeps into your bones. Most people wanted to stay wrapped up indoors next to a hot pot. But for Mrs. Liu, name changed. That comfort didn't exist. Her job was to keep the city's streets clean, no matter the weather. That morning, while sweeping on Huaqiao Road near the gate of Shanhaiku, a busy area near Nanjing University, Mrs. Liu noticed a black plastic bag left near a trash bin. It didn't look like ordinary garbage. Curious, she opened it. Inside were pieces of meat, cut neatly, looking like they had been cooked. From the color and the way it was prepared, she thought it was pork. At the time, food was valuable. A big bag of meat like that could be a fortune. Maybe someone had dropped it. Mrs. Liu felt lucky and decided to take the bag home, thinking it would make a good stew to fend off the cold. Back at her small home, she began to prepare. She took out carrots, potatoes, onions, and the spices she needed. She emptied the meat into a large basin and started washing each piece under running water to remove dust. Her hands moved quickly, her mind still dreaming of a warm dinner. Then, as she reached into the basin for another piece, her fingers brushed something different, harder, longer, and with a very unfamiliar shape. She pulled it out. Time seemed to stop. In her hand was a human finger. At first she froze, thinking she must be mistaken or tired. But when she dared to look again into the basin, horror set in. It wasn't just one. There were 3 human fingers, with neatly trimmed nails mixed in with the pieces she was about to cook. Her scream cut through the quiet morning. She could not believe what she was seeing. If these fingers were real, then this wasn't pork. Without hesitation, she called the police, trembling. When officers first got the call, they were skeptical, a cruel prank or a tired cleaner seeing things. But when Mrs. Liu brought the bag to the station, the atmosphere changed. The faces of the officers turned serious. No one would casually throw away such a large amount of meat. And when they saw human fingers, they knew this was not a joke. This was a homicide. The bag was rushed to the forensic lab. Hours of examination confirmed the worst. This was human remains. A massive search began. Hundreds of officers were dispatched to comb streets, alleys, trash bins, and vacant lots around Nanjing University, where the first bag was found. Then more horrifying discoveries followed. One by one, at 8 different locations around the university, officers found plastic-wrapped packages filled with body parts. At the stadium, near the main gate, outside a hospital, and along quieter streets. It looked like the killer had intentionally scattered the packages. The next day, Another package was found. This time it contained cooked meat and a human head. 10 days later, clothing believed to belong to the victim was discovered. At that time, DNA technology and a national database were not available in China. Identifying the victim was a massive challenge. Forensic doctors worked with the few clues they had: muscle tissue, hair, and bits of clothing. From those, investigators narrowed the victim to a young woman. They began contacting families of recently reported missing people. Gradually, the pieces fitted together. The victim was identified as Diao Aiqing. So, who was Diao Aiqing? How did a university student end up with a fate this terrible? How was a young woman dismembered into thousands of pieces, her flesh treated like ordinary meat? Diao Aiqing was born in March 1976 in a poor rural village in Jiangsu Province's Taizhou area in Guangyan County. She was the youngest of two sisters. According to her sister, Diao Aihua, life was never easy for them. The family was very poor. Winters were harsh. The sisters sometimes shared one coat. Aiqing, the younger, often wore her sister's old clothes. While other children played and bought snacks without worry, the Diao sisters had to save every penny just to buy a candy. Seeing the family struggle, the older sister, Aihua, left school early to work and help support their parents. She took whatever jobs she could, factory work, selling goods, all so her sister could keep studying. Aiqing understood her sister's sacrifice and her parents' hardship. She felt that weight every day. She once asked if she should quit school and work, but Aihua refused. "You must stay in school and study hard," she said. "That's the only way to a better future." Aiqing worked hard. Her effort paid off. She passed the challenging entrance exam and was admitted to Nanjing University in October 1995. She studied applied computing in the Information Management Department of the university's Adult Education College. The day she enrolled was a source of pride for the whole family. They did everything they could to support her. They couldn't buy her a new computer or send her expensive things, but they hid family worries from her. Even the grandfather's death and the sister's marriage, so she could focus on school. At school, she tried to focus on her studies. Classmates described her as introverted and simple. She wore the same few outfits and didn't care much about looks, but she kept herself neat and tidy. She avoided noisy crowds but had a small circle of close friends to hang out with occasionally. Even after moving to Nanjing, she stayed close with friends back home. On January 7, 1996, she took a bus back to her village to have dinner with some old friends and returned to campus on January 8th. Then came January 10th, the fateful day. Around 5 p.m. that day, people saw Aiqing leave the Gulu dormitory. But before she left, something happened. Apparently, a roommate had used an electric cooker in the dorm, strictly against the rules. Because the violation happened in their room, the dorm manager told Aiqing she would have to pay half the fine. Aiqing argued that she hadn't done anything wrong. The manager insisted. After the argument, classmates said she left in a huff, and she was never seen again. A small argument, and it may have been the last time friends saw Diao Aiqing alive. Where did she go after she left the dorm angry? What happened to her on that cold night? These questions haunted investigators for nearly 30 years. If this story grips you, pause for a moment to support Asian Criminal Case with a like and leave a comment below with your thoughts about her disappearance. Your interaction keeps us digging and bringing these cases to light. Now, let's continue. When Aiqing didn't come back that night, her friends didn't worry at first. It was exam week. She was the type to lock herself in and study for days. Plus, she had made her bed neatly before she left, which suggested she didn't plan to be gone long. They thought maybe she stepped out to clear her head, but days passed. 1, then 2, and Aiqing still didn't return. Her roommates and classmates reported her missing to dorm management. Here, a puzzling decision was made. The dorm authorities decided not to notify her family because they didn't want to cause panic. They kept the matter within a small circle of friends and staff, thinking she might just be away for a few days to relieve stress. Everything changed on January 19th, more than a week after Aiqing was last seen, when Mrs. Liu found the bag with human fragments and the police launched a large-scale search. The nightmare truly began. Putting the fragments together was horrific work. The pieces were so small that determining the victim's sex took longer than usual. Based on muscle tissue and a few remaining physical clues, they confirmed the victim was female. Soon more bags were found around places like Shuiqiaogang and other random corners of the city. The packages contained cooked meat, clothing, and even a human head that appeared to have been cooked. By the time the search wrapped up, police had recovered more than 2,000 body fragments. Each piece was carefully wrapped in plastic and scattered at different locations near Nanjing University. And here's the detail that chilled even experienced investigators. The cuts were extremely clean and professional. The way the flesh was sliced, the precise cut around the neck. This wasn't the work of an amateur. Police began to think the person had professional skills, perhaps a butcher, a surgeon, or someone with detailed knowledge of human anatomy. Worse, some body parts had been cooked for days, not just once, but over several days. That made identifying facial features almost impossible and complicated determining the exact time of death. And one more horrific fact: her major organs, heart, liver, spleen, were missing. That opened the door to all kinds of theories, none of them pleasant. Investigators were able to match the remains to a missing girl because of a small mole still visible on her right cheek. When the family got the news, they were shattered. Their beloved daughter, Diao Aiqing, the child they pinned all their hopes on, was gone. She had been murdered, her body violated. And worst of all, the killer was still out there, blending into the city as if nothing had happened. A senior officer who later worked on the case said bluntly, "This was not the work of an amateur. Whoever did this had deep knowledge of human anatomy." It was methodical, and it was cruel. Imagine how her family must have felt. Their daughter, who left the countryside for the city to study and chase a better future, had her life ended this way. Her body was not whole. It was treated worse than that of an animal. The pain is probably beyond words, and the nightmare was only beginning. When police dove into the investigation, they realized quickly they were chasing a ghost, a killer who seemed to leave almost no trace. In this first part, we've seen the horrifying discovery of Diao Aiqing's remains. From a plastic bag left by the curb, a brutal dismemberment case was revealed. We also learned about the short, tragic life of the victim, a hard-working, introverted student carrying her family's hopes. Her death left a wound that would never fully heal for her family and posed a baffling puzzle for Nanjing police. Who could commit such a calculated, cruel act? What was the killer's motive? Personal hatred or a pathological obsession? And most importantly, how could such a person vanish without a trace in a big city? In part 2 of this series, we'll dive deeper into the police investigation. We'll look at the first suspects, analyze the psychological profile of a cold-blooded killer, and explore why one of Nanjing's largest investigations eventually hit dead ends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video, and leave your initial theories about the killer in the comments. Subscribe to Asian Criminal Case and join us for part 2, where the veil over the invisible killer will slowly lift.